The new Terraria update Journey's End has been released, and with it comes a new pinnacle of difficulty, Master Mode. In this mode, the enemies hit drastically harder and they have a much larger health pool to deal with. This all makes the early game much more difficult to wade through, as you have no armor and no weapons and somehow need to navigate the world in order to find your resources. To anyone looking for how to manage those first few critical days, I have 5 tips for early Master Mode. Number 1, only fight enemies when you need their loot. Enemies are a much larger challenge in this game, and even slimes actually have some inherent risk with going toe-to-toe with them. There's a lot more hits you have to deal out, and if you get hit, you take a lot more damage, which causes a lot more problems for you when you need to heal up. So in that case, you only should fight enemies if you actually need the things that they drop. It can be much more expedient, but also much easier on you, and you'll have less untimely deaths if you just go around the enemies or avoid altogether the enemies that you simply don't need to kill. Number 2, keep a campfire going or keep a campfire on you at all times. Campfires can regenerate your health early on in the game. They're very abundant, and if you just keep them going and when you're moving, pack it up and keep moving to the next spot, you'll always have that regeneration, so in the event that an enemy or two comes out of nowhere, you can quickly regain your health and move along. Number 3, find a good early ranged weapon and use it. Boomerangs, for example, can be found throughout the early game and are a quite proficient ranged weapon. They can even be upgraded into the blue boomerangs, which will allow you to keep distance between you and the enemies, which keeps you safe from their horrible hits and allows you to do more damage to them to chip away at their health in the event that you actually need to kill the enemy. Number 4, avoid open spaces. Now, this is a little bit more complicated than just avoiding open spaces. You should actually keep yourself enclosed in tight spaces as well. For instance, if you are entering an open space and find several enemies that are circling around you trying to get into the little box that you've kept yourself in, you can actually place dirt outside your area to use to push the enemies back and then slowly dig out the inner part of the dirt while placing dirt farther away from you. This allows you to effectively manage how close you allow the enemies to be, and this only will really work in the early game. Later in the game, there are enemies that can go in through the walls, but the idea here is to be able to move through the early game to get some of that valuable metal, upgrade your armor, and allow you to find some new weapons to get farther in the game outside that critical early stage. And finally, tip number 5, always keep dirt handy. In this game and this difficulty, dirt is your best friend. And the reason is, it's your best defensive opportunity early on in the game. If you're digging a tunnel, which you should be digging a lot of tunnels in the beginning of the game, looking for that metal, oftentimes you'll have enemies that try to sneak up on you or try to come in through your tunnel. And while you're trying to avoid those enemies, the best way to do that is to just build a dirt wall behind you. You could do the same thing effectively with doors, but dirt is the cheapest and easiest way to accomplish this. Well, that's it for my top 5 tips for surviving early Master Mode. Leave a comment if you have some tips of your own. Leave a like if you've enjoyed this video and subscribe for more videos like this. And until next time, this has been Pixel Freak.